I believe 2025 will be an incredible year in the world of motorsport. Here's why. I'll start with IMSA, then go to NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One, and why I think each one is going to have an incredible year this year in 2025. And of course, there are many more, but I want to focus on those four and why it's going to be an incredible year for all of them. Starting off with IMSA. So this weekend is the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And depending on when you're watching this, it probably has either already started or already passed, or you're watching this beforehand. And the reason why there is a lot of hype around the Rolex 24 this year is because I've seen that there are a lot of fans that are watching this for the first time due to the drivers that are in the race. There are former IndyCar drivers, former Formula One drivers, current IndyCar drivers. You have a current NASCAR driver, a couple of current NASCAR drivers. So you have Alex Palou, to name a few. You have Scott Dixon. You have Roman Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, Parker Kligerman, Austin Cindric, just to name a few off the top of my head. And you have 61 cars that are going to participate in this 24-hour race. And so there is a lot of hype from new fans from all different other, different divisions of racing that are watching this simply because of who is participating in the race. Now, let's talk about NASCAR. NASCAR, on one hand, has had a 2024 season that was one to remember due to controversy, due to the finishes, due to a lot of different factors. But in 2025, they are very bullish on a couple different things. They are going to put money into their drivers to promote the sport. They have expanded where they're going to race in 2025, going to Mexico City, so that shows growth there. And also, they just brought back an incredible sponsor that I was stoked to see come through this morning, Red Bull. Red Bull is going to be on board with Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch in the NASCAR Cup Series in the 88 car and the 87 car. And if you're a supercar fan, you know that those are the exact same car numbers and the exact same sponsor that they have over there. And they're going to be racing with them for a combined 6 races this season. Red Bull being back in NASCAR is a huge opportunity with everything else they have going on to leverage new fans, to leverage their name, and to get new people or get people back into the sport. I think this is huge. Also, with NASCAR, along with their putting money into the drivers to promote the sport, they have had enhanced marketing from what I have seen across the board. And also they are starting with Tubi for a dedicated NASCAR channel that is going to run 24/7 starting in about 6 days on the 29th, I believe. So all this to say, NASCAR is moving in a direction to get new people into the sport, to educate people, to show them the history, the podcast, all the relevant people in the sport with the Tubi channel. They're investing into the drivers. They're expanding the calendar. They're getting back Red Bull, which is, that in and of itself could make this 2025 season absolutely incredible. And it hasn't even started yet. The season doesn't start technically for another 3 weeks. So you have all these moves going on. You have Elio Castroneves that's going to be attempting to run the Daytona 500. So there's another crossover between IndyCar and NASCAR. You have Kyle Larson that's going to run the Indy 500. So you have that crossover between NASCAR and IndyCar again. You have Pato O'Ward saying that he is not going to rule out running in Mexico in the future. So all this to say, they have a huge opportunity to move in the right direction. Now let's talk about IndyCar. IndyCar just signed that huge media deal with Fox to be the premier broadcast and to be the premier network that showcases all of the IndyCar season in 2025. So that's huge. You have new tracks coming in 2026 with Arlington. You have all the marketing and the PR that's going behind IndyCar and the drivers. You saw that Joseph Newgarden commercial. If you haven't, I recommend you watch it. Also, you have Will Buxton that's going to be on board with the amazing lineup of broadcasters. And he says he wants IndyCar to be better and bigger than NASCAR. And that's a huge task. It's a huge opportunity that they have. And I think it's a huge opportunity for NASCAR, too, to step up their game now that they have this, this verbal, competition that is so friendly among the two. So I think it's huge for IndyCar with the names they brought in, the people they're bringing on, the new Prema Italian IndyCar team. You have drivers coming back, new drivers in new places. It's going to be an incredible season in 2025. And now let's move on to Formula One to wrap this up. With all the changes that have happened over the last 6 months, with drivers going in different places and announcements of drivers leaving and coming, obviously the biggest one has been Lewis Hamilton and a Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton and a Ferrari is his dream. It was what he always wanted to do, and he has that opportunity now to race with Ferrari. That's number one. Number two, We are starting to see the season in Australia, which is going to be a little bit of a change, but I think it's a great change to start off there. Number 3, you have a bunch of new drivers, and a bunch of rookies and a bunch of faces and new places. Carlos Sainz over with Williams. I mean, you could just go on. The laundry list of changes going on with drivers is insane. I think there's only 2 teams that had the same lineup. It's Aston Martin with Fernando Alonso and Mr. Lance Stroll, and you also have McLaren with Lando and Oscar. So that's huge. And what are the expectations for Red Bull? Can Max get 5 in a row? Can Lando, actually win a championship and be better on the starts of races? Because his restarts have been very questionable. Can Lewis get his 8th championship? Or to some people, it's 9th. Can he get his 9th championship with Ferrari? I know I'd like that because I'm a Ferrari fan. I prefer Charles, though, because Charles Leclerc. I prefer him because, obviously, personal reasons and him as a driver. So, again, 2025 in Formula One, it's going to be huge, especially because in 2026, we're getting the new car, the new regs. We're getting everything new. So 2025 is the last time we're going to see this kind of racing with this kind of car. So, overall, in 2025, motorsport is heading in an amazing direction. Obviously, you have WEC, you have WRC, you have F1 Academy, you have Rally, or not Rally, you have Supercars, all these different kind of series that are going on. The modifieds, you have Kyle Larson winning the Chili Bowl. 2025 has already proven, just 23 days in, when this video is recorded, that it's going to be a wild but an incredible year. And I can't wait to see how it goes down. And I'm going to make this statement right now. 2025 may be the launch pad that motorsport needs to become a premier sport globally for all the major motorsports, just because of all of the different faces in different divisions and people going and racing in different series, like Helio racing in NASCAR and SVG obviously going full-time in the Cup Series, Parker Kligerman going to IMSA. I mean, there's so many different changes going on that I haven't even mentioned, but 2025 is going to be the year of motorsport.